Hello everyone, it's me again, teacher and saxophonist Andrei Stepanov Lucky Sax. Glad to see you on my YouTube channel. You are watching the 12th lesson of the jazz improvisation course for beginners, and today you will apply all the techniques you've learned before in your full improvisation. So, what are we going to play today? We are going to play the blues, which is one of the most common jazz styles. There are many different variations of the blues, but for the purpose of studying, we will take the simplest example in terms of harmony. So let's figure out what the blues is. It's a type of jazz music that, as you can see, has a specific structure, namely a 12-bar blues progression, where the first 4 bars are often played on the tonic harmony. Next 2 bars are on the subdominant and tonic, and next 2 bars are on the dominant and tonic. Before improvising in jazz, it's customary to play the theme first. Today we will play the jazz standard C-Jam Blues, written by the famous jazz pianist and conductor Duke Ellington. Before starting, you can listen to many versions of this composition online. Let's listen to the theme. Today we will not just improvise, but first we will go structure our improvisation. Let's try to create a detailed plan for this composition so that your improvisation is more meaningful, so that during the playing you clearly know which of the learned techniques you want to use at the moment, and can distribute your skills throughout the entire improvisation and not just in the first few bars. First, I'll show you my improvisation. How can we do this better? There are several options. The first is that you first write down the scheme. One technique in the first bar, another in the second, the next in the third. The second option is when you turn on an audio example and start playing small fragments alone with the backing track, analyzing and writing down what you played, noting interesting ideas in our plan. Did you play thirds, a triplet, a scale, or something else? Write it down in the plan. For some, a way of thinking related to emotions works, and you can write down the associations that arise in you during the performance. For example, a steamboat whistle, the clinking of glasses, the smell of tangerines, or something else. Write down everything that comes to your mind. The main task is to make the simplest possible recording of what you want to perform. After you have composed and written down the first part in your plan, you can return to the backing track. Play what you wrote down and add a few bars of your subsequent improvisation right during the performance. Play in small pieces, and the main goal is self-analysis of what you have just performed. Apply this principle by playing small phrases, working through your soul from beginning to end, gradually adding new musical fragments. If you have added a fragment of a well-known melody to your improvisation, but don't know how to write it down, you can simply add the words, musical phrase of song end to your scheme. The main thing is to understand which musical phrase of which song. Perhaps it's worth adding an adjective like cheerful or sad musical phrase. Now let's move on to the main point. You absolutely don't need to play according to the plan you have created. Your task is to learn this recorded order of techniques and emotions and play it each time creating your own new improvisation. All you need is to hear the backing track and imagine your plan in your head and know what you should play at what point. Our goal is to perform a new improvisation each time, while keeping a clear structure of the melody in mind. Of course, you can also deviate from your plan because this is improvisation. Just play it firmly and confidently. And now, to take a little break, I suggest you to take a look at the homework from our last session, which was completed and sent to us by our student Vitaly. Well done, Vitaly. It's very pleasant to watch you grow. With each lesson, your improvisation becomes more meaningful and high quality. By the way, about a meaningful approach, music, like literature, consists of several stages: the setup, the climax, and the resolution. When preparing your plan, you should take these into account. The first part should be the setup of the plot. There comes the most vivid climax and a good, clear ending. Although it also happens that the climax and the resolution coincide at the moment when the improviser's solo ends at the brightest point. In general, you shouldn't limit yourself to one climax. You can have several climaxes during the one solo. However, your entire solo can be one continuous climax if you have enough strength and emotion for it. For learning purposes, we will only use 3 stages: prelude, climax, and finale. Let's try to represent these in our plan. Here are a few bars of example. As you can see, we started with short phrases and used the tonic triad as a technical figure. We used all of these throughout the first 4 bars. We remember that we are still only in the prelude, and our development is gradual. Let's move on. As you may have noticed, we had added the next piece of improvisation from the next 4 chords. Only this time we used direct movement along the scale, while the subdominant chord was sounding in the harmony. After you write this down in your plan, don't forget to play each new fragment. This way of building improvisation can be compared to building a house, where we also add 1 brick at a time. While the tonic chord was sounding, we continued to use short phrases. And now, let's try to add the next brick to our improvisation. Here, while the dominant chord was sounding, we added another technical figure: contrary motion with triads. Don't forget to write it down in your improvisation plan. Then I used movement along the scale, which can also be added to our plan. So we have completed our first 4 bars, which is a kind of introductory part to our solo. Next, I remind you we have the climax. What does it mean? It means that your improvisation should sound as bright as possible, reflecting the development of your thought. To do this, we can move the melody to a higher octave, use shorter durations to build up emotion. It's clear that this time we will do without short phrases at the beginning of the 4 bars, and we will start adding speed to the movement of your solo. For example, like this. So we started the second 4 bars of the climax with direct movement along the scale combined with movement in thirds. So we write in our plan. Let's move on to the next fragment of your improvisation. Next, we added syncopation with rhythmic displacement. At the same time, our melody continues its ascent. Write this down in the plan. On the tonic, we continued the syncopation and made a resolution, staying on one of the chord tones. Next comes the dominant, one of the brightest chords. Let's try to speed up even more and use semiquavers notes and add some technical techniques. For example, like this. With this technique, your solo will become sharper and more agile. In order for your solo to be more interesting, you should similarly apply the other learned technical means. Also, short phrases can be used not with one technical technique, but with different ones. For example, by combining direct movement along the scale with movement along the notes of the triad, your example will sound like this. What did we get? Triplets and contrary triads. It turned out very well. Let's write this down in your plan. Contrary triads and acceleration. Let's listen to the whole thing. What did we get? It turned out quite magnificent. Now it's time for you to create your own improvisation plan and perform it on your musical instrument. The order will be simple and clear. The theme, 2 4 bars, improvisations, repetition of the theme. At the end of the lesson, as always, I will leave a list of jazz performers that are worth listening to. Today, these are famous jazz drummers. Listen to at least one composition by each of them. Don't be afraid to experiment and be creator of your own music. Subscribe to our channel so you don't miss the new episode of our jazz improvisation course for beginners. Goodbye, everyone!